Okay, so I am at my hair school today and we are going to be doing a blonding techniques class for my students. So I am just getting set up. We're gonna have a model come in and I thought I would take you guys along on the process. So if you're interested in watching this fun little video, stay tuned. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of go through these so that we can answer them as we go. These are the things that we're gonna focus on during the class, but also during the class, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask them as we go. Okay, so this is how to know what to tone and root with. This one can be tricky, especially because every blonde is a little bit different. Making partings connect, that's a really good one, and it's actually why I did this little formulation chart, which we'll go over for you guys. Okay, formulating. Applying lightener when they already have bleached mids and ends, so overlapping. Partings and weaving techniques, so I'm just gonna put technique right here. Okay, toning formulas, so that kind of just falls under rooting and toning. Deciding when to use slices, weaves, and baby lights, knowing which technique will achieve and how to mix and match them based on the client's needs and wants. So that's gonna fall under technique, and then we're gonna go over the head chart as well. Pot roots even after locking the foil. That's a really good one. So we'll put like slipping and hot roots. Saturation, that's a really good one. So this one specifically says too much saturation, or what does good saturation look like? When to be worried if you overdid it. This is a really good topic because it's so easy to undersaturate, and that's what gives you uneven lift and splotchiness, but also oversaturation can cause swelling and tiger stripes. Okay, so bleeding, that's gonna kind of go into slipping, so we'll talk about that. Face frame and money pieces, this is a really good one. Okay, what lived-in looks like but still wants to look bright. That's exactly what the class is on today, so I'm excited that that got brought up. Ooh, Scandinavian hairline. I'm actually gonna throw wet balayage in here because we're probably gonna do some of that too. Okay, awesome. So today's model is what I have here on the screen. So you guys can see that she has her natural regrowth coming in, and then she's just more of like a warm blonde that's kind of faded out, and she wants to be a little bit brighter. So the two different photos that she had sent me, this is the first one, and then this is the second one. So it's similar to what she has, but it is a lot brighter and it's brought up, okay? So we're gonna be focusing on giving her brightness around the face, popping out some of those blondes, especially if you look at what she has now and then what she's going for. She has the best canvas ever to do this, so it's gonna be really great, but these are a lot lighter than what she has going on. So my focus is gonna be taking all of this and going brighter around the face, bringing it up and then blending it so it doesn't look like regrowth anymore, it looks sun-kissed, okay? We're gonna be doing this placement. So I wrote this out so you guys have a visual, but also when she's in here, you guys are gonna get to see what it looks like. So we're gonna be doing, this is the front, and we're gonna be doing a triangle placement in the front. This is my go-to. Most of you have probably seen me do this, but I do this because it gives you that peekaboo effect. Have you guys seen that talked about? Do you know what that means when I say peekaboo? Okay. So basically it's gonna give us a bright pop, but really soft, because I think a lot of clients freak out when it's like a bold stripe in the front, and that's what we wanna avoid. So this is gonna give us a bright hairline, but it's also gonna look really blended. So the triangle right here, I wrote you guys a key so you can kind of see. This is a slice, this is a teasy light, this is a baby light or a highlight. The triangle is gonna have slices. The front right here, this would be if the client was facing towards you, by the way. So you can see to begin my triangle, I have slices. So I have one on this side, one in the middle. And that's gonna connect that whole triangle. Then we're gonna start in the middle right behind that last slice and do baby lights leading into teasy lights. That's gonna give us brightness, but then it's gonna slowly taper into lived-in so it doesn't look too contrasted. Then this is gonna be the front halo, and we're gonna do slices all around the front and then baby lights going back. And then in the back, this is the back halo. We're gonna do a similar technique where we have slices and then baby lights. And what I like to do on my blonde clients, whoever wrote down connecting placement, that's huge, and this is why I like to do a halo. And what I do in my blonde clients is I do the entire halo first. So we're actually gonna section off that whole thing today, and we're gonna do the whole halo so that it connects from front to back. because sometimes if you do like the back and then the front or vice versa, that halo kind of like disconnects right here. So I really want to make sure that when you guys are doing your halo, you're getting over the ear so that it's a seamless connection. The purpose of a halo is for when your client wears their hair up, it has all that brightness, and if you have a disconnected piece, they're gonna see like a black hole right here, okay? So we're gonna talk about that.
I did 8 GI and 9 NB, and then ends I did 10P, 10 GI, and 9 N.
I love that. That's really good. Good job.
Okay, for lightener I did 20.
Okay.
Root I did 7N, 6NB. Money piece I did 10P, 10B, and a splash of GI.
Oh, okay, love it.
I didn't do a mids toner because I feel like her lightener, like it stays pretty like
consistent.
blonde. Yeah. So I did 9P, 9N, 9GI, maybe 8BG.
Okay, no, I like that. Good job. You guys all have similar families, like the tones that we're going with. So this is really good that you're all on the same track. Okay.
Root 7N, 6NW. Mids 8N, 9N, 8B.
Okay.
And then ends 10B, 10GI, 9NB.
That's good. Awesome. I always have that in my halo bowl, and then I'll have those with my smaller foils, and then these with my bigger foils. So this first section above the ear right here is where we're gonna start. And I'm gonna make this one a slice because if you guys look at our head chart, we have slices around the whole interior. So I want this first one to be a slice too, just so that it matches everything. So I like to start in the center, and we're just gonna take a pretty thin section like this, and we're gonna do a slice right here. To the front, I'll start with slices 2 to connect, but that just gives me a good idea of, okay, this is all gonna be like my super bright pieces, and then we're gonna highlight from there. So my dark blue pieces at the bottom is what we just did, and now we're gonna go into baby whites. Does that key make sense to you guys, by the way? Okay, feel free to take a photo of it if needed. And then if you do come to the blonding class, you get my blonding manual, and that has like a head chart in it as well, and it has a lot more as well. I started in the middle, then I'll pivot left, pivot right, and then kind of go back to the middle. You just wanna make sure you're not doing like all the middle, then all the left, then all the right, because then it gets hard to like connect everything. If you do it this way, they almost bricklay with each other, and then it lays a little more naturally.
That's why I put connecting placement, because I feel like I always have like a line in between my foils where there's like a little strand that's like,
and it's so noticeable. You're like, what the heck? Yeah.
Dark hole.
Does this make sense to you for connection then? Does that help answer that?
Yeah.
Okay. Whatever preference you have.
Okay.
I'm gonna do a wet balayage today just so I can show you guys what that looks like, but you could easily tip these. Do you know what tip outs are? You could easily tip out those ends too if you just felt like it was a little too much. If you wanted that to be even brighter, you can do one of two things. We could grab these sections and tease and tip out. I'm sure most of you have done that, right? We could also wet balayage, and that's what I'm gonna do today just because I wanna show you guys that technique since you've already seen tip outs. So we're gonna wet balayage this and probably the rest of the ends of the bowls just to get that a little brighter.
I have a question. I thought you couldn't wet balayage on brown hair. I thought
You
it had
can.
to be like solid blondes.
No, you can as long as it's a 7 or lighter.
Okay.
So I wouldn't
it'll
do
lift,
like
okay.
Hallie's hair. Yeah.
Okay, that
If it's a 7 or lighter, especially if it's natural, like this is like her natural grow out, so
Okay.
that's gonna lift perfectly.
Okay.
I've been trying to bend the rules since I barely was walking. I've been trying harder all my life.
And I would say that this with that triangle is the most time consuming part of this technique. The best part about like moving forward now in the interior is it goes so quick, which is awesome. So it's kind of a work smarter, not harder. And when we get into the cheesy lights, I'll kind of show you a little more on that. But I want to show you guys now the triangle. Everyone's hairline's a little bit different, but what I love about the triangle is it works for every hairline. So some people will have a straight, some will have a curve, some will have a widow's peak, but the triangle's great because no matter what their hairline does, you're breaking it into 3 different sections where you're doing this side, and the middle. But it's just connecting that middle point at the front of the head. I'm doing it higher.
Solid right
So
here,
solid.
like that.
Yep.
It's
And
my
you
favorite,
can
but-
tip out those ends or do a wet balayage to get that. But I would just say on this one piece, I probably either would have done and then you say slice this? So what I would do is clip that away now.
Okay.
and then you would slice the top of that section for the thickness you're wanting, and then the rest is a dropout. And keep in mind, you will be pushing some of this back, so it can be like a little bit, yeah, a little bit thicker, but you still want it to be relatively thin. And I would hold it out 90 degrees. There you go. It just gets it a little bit easier to tease. There you go. And then once you've done that initial one, now you can just kind of work on like combing it back.
Okay. And then that's all that we highlight?
Uh-huh, yep. And then it'll just be a straight slice, and you'll put that board on, perfect. And I would almost see how like we're on a curve, I would almost pivot. So it's like that. Yep, there you go. Perfect. Yep. Or whatever you want, high tees, low tees, just based on your section and what you think.
If I could just be a little better, maybe you could be my salvation.
Pull that lightener through everything so that if you felt like you needed to saturate a little more, or there was just an area that needed to have it a little bit better, then you can do that. It doesn't always need to happen, but it's just nice to kind of like get everything feeling good. And then I can also comb through my teasy lights this way. So I'm actually gonna do that as well to show you guys how I like to do it. Balayage on the halo pieces first, so that can sit the longest. And then we're gonna do a root in the interior. And then while that's sitting, we're gonna do a wet balayage in the interior. And then we'll move back to the halo for that root process. Okay, can I get someone to stand on that side and hold the hair for me? Thank you.
And what volume are you using again?
So for the wet balayage, I just have the leftover lightener, so we're doing 20. And I'm gonna do that in these pieces just to kind of pop those out a little bit more. And then we'll do it on the rest of it probably if we need it. And then I'll talk through the formulas we're using as we're toning. Okay, so for wet balayage, you can add shampoo to it if you want, kind of so like a bleach wash, or you can just do it with the formula you had. I'm just gonna do it with the formula we had so that we get a good amount of lift in there and it doesn't dilute it at all. So I'm gonna take a section about this wide and that thin, and I'm literally just gonna paint this on like I would be balayaging it open air. And I'm not like trying to take it too high or anything. This is really just to kind of pop things out a little bit more. And then when you do it in the interior, if there's areas where you want to keep dimension out, then we'll lift the, or like we'll like piece those out. Not really. So with this one, I'm putting it on where her ends are like a 7-8. Anything darker than that, it just like wouldn't really lift. So that's why. And when you do a wet balayage, it's typically going to bump one level. So the 7s will kind of go to an 8, the 8s will go to a 9, and that's good enough for me back here. But the front, since those are already like a 9, almost 10, those will be a 10, which is great. Okay guys, so now this is all sitting, and what we have going on is a wet balayage underneath, Scandinavian and wet balayage in the front, and then in the interior we have that root and mid-tone, and then the wet balayage. Hair grew out so nice though. Like,
I know.
The fact that you've just been doing highlights and it actually looked pretty good for what, 8 months? It's awesome.
It's been forever.
And luckily Lipton's in, so it just
I know,
looks like that.
that's the only...
Like,
What other thing sets apart a lived-in blonde? Like,
oh, that's a good question.
I think just like smaller, finer baby lights, and then just like
Small thin sections, saturation. Using the right lightener, honestly, like, can you guys see a difference of blonde me? Like, it really is just so much better. So like finding the tools and the products you like to use, and then the little things like taking the time to do 3 different toner formulations, and the Scandinavian and the wet balayage if needed. Not every client needs all of those. I mean, it obviously looks awesome when you do it, but just taking the time to figure out what that client needs and doing it.
Every day 'cause I own it. I'm fine.